To become more aware of anything is to become more mindful. Whether this is awareness of surroundings, of others, or of oneself. This mental state can help you be more present, more in tune, more creative, and more receptive. With this podcast, I hope to help you fine-tune your awareness, help you find positivity in your struggles, and give power to your mindfulness. This is Mindful Guidance. Hello, everybody. My name is Mishayla, and welcome to Mindful Guidance. I first just want to say thank you so much for being here. I haven't podcasted in a minute. I think the last podcast episode I had to look it up actually, was in November. And I think prior to that, I did maybe one or two, and then I did a summer thing. And I was so scattered last year with everything that was going on kind of in my life. I had a really scattered life in general. And since November, I've moved, I've left the city I was in. I'm in a new city. I've moved in with my boyfriend. I have a whole new sort of routine, a new life, and a lot has changed. And I finally feel settled enough to start my podcast again. And I've had so many ideas. Been putting everything in my phone for months and months and months about things I want to talk about, things that have come up, things that have sort of been ebbing and flowing in my existence. And I am finally back. So for those of you who listen to me regularly or are new here, thank you for always supporting me and thank you for joining. I'm excited to start podcasting again. I also started, since I was podcasting before in the summer, everything changed in the podcast creator field too. And so I kind of had to learn a whole new system of what I wanted to do. So for months I've been like researching and brainstorming and trying to figure out, like, going down rabbit holes on social media of what software people are using, what apps they're using, how to edit in different places. And so that has been sort of time consuming too, to figure out how to, because it used to be I could just record and upload and it was super simple, and they kind of took that away. But then they added this amazing tool that I'm using now, this software, Riverside, that I've been playing on for the last few days to figure out how it works. It's this really cool tool that you can record on. You can also edit on, add music and different things. And so I'm finally excited that I actually know what I'm doing. Something else that has changed is the podcast portion of everything is I'm going to try to do in video, which I never did before. I used to just do audio because it was easier. I'm also changing the format because I would say 90%, not all of them, but a lot of them I wrote myself and just read off the script because I tend to ramble a lot, and I would write things out and make sure I just stayed on target. So it would kind of keep me under the time limits that I was limited to at the time. I'm not sure what the time limit is on this at this point. We're going to figure it out, but I am still going to try to keep it under an hour. So the format is going to be a bit different. I'm going to be trial and erroring that to see if I want to continue with the video format, because I want to, upload these to YouTube as well. And so I'll be trying to figure out the editing process in that. I also am really hoping that I can finally start inviting collaborators on, because there's so many people I want to talk to, friends and acquaintances and just people I'm interested in. That is something I've been wanting to do I started my podcast kind of a long time ago, like I think in 2021, but I just didn't know what I was doing, and I just was kind of wanting to get ideas out there and thoughts out there, and honestly just practice speaking out into the world. A year and a half ago, I took a speaking school, so I feel like I've gotten better at just speaking in general. I've learned a lot over the last year, in my scattered year that I had, and so hopefully that will sort of shine through as well, as I hope to elevate this podcast, because this is something I actually really, really, really love to do. I don't know that I would do it. I don't know if it would turn into a job. I'm trying to envision something like that, part of my coaching or just a podcast in general, because I do love just talking about things and also to people. But it's just something I really like to do. And so I've been wanting to get back to it because it does excite me. Like, it's really fun. And this is obviously different formatting that I'm going to have to get used to. So I do appreciate feedback. So if you guys listen to me often, even if you're just listening to this on audio and you click back and forth on the video, let me know how you feel about it. Do you just prefer audio, or are you somebody that likes to watch somebody talk into a camera? Because again, I am going to start putting these on YouTube, and I just feel like video is just more YouTube-y, I guess. So anyway, so let's just start now. I'm happy to be back. And the first topic that I wanted to talk about on this, and I think I'll keep this one pretty brief, but I wanted to come back with gratitude. That was the main thing that I wanted to come back with. And there's a reason why. Excuse me, I'm going to need some water. But I wanted to come back with gratitude because it's something that I've been working on incredibly consciously, definitely since the beginning of the year, but kind of, it's been off and on, for the last couple of years. It's something that I don't want to say that I've had a challenge of, because I'm always grateful for things, right? But it's something that I really had to bring to the forefront of my consciousness. It wasn't something I recognize that gratitude is much more than just saying thank you. That's definitely part of it, and I think we should all, have our manners of please and thank you. But you kind of have to mean it, right? Like there has to be meaning and mindfulness. Like, this podcast is all about mindfulness, and I feel like there has to be mindfulness behind your thank yous. There has to be mindfulness behind intention, behind your gratitude. And the beginning of this year, I, kind of started journaling more about gratitude and wanting to put in more intention behind what I am grateful for, especially after this last year. There's been a lot that's been happening, and I've had to really recenter sometimes and remind myself to be grateful for even the challenges that I have and the people around me have. I've been so grateful for, my partner in my life now, my boyfriend, and us moving in together has been a huge step for both of us. And there's been, I've just felt so loved and supported, even in my friends and family. And even my last birthday, I kind of broke down, and I'm like, I just really feel so grateful. And it's been a long time since I've truly felt like that. Like, there was this just warm, heartfelt, open-hearted gratitude. And it kind of clicked for me in that moment that I'm like, oh, this is what real gratitude is. It's not just about saying thank you to everybody. You should. That's a starting point for sure. Like, the outward gratitude is a starting point. But the embodiment of gratitude and really opening your heart and being grateful for just kind of existing, and the people around you, and how when you put out certain things, they come back to you. And when you really open your heart and are grateful for things, then it really is reciprocal. And, something I want to touch on, let me bring up my notes here, because that's another thing too. I'm going to just keep little notes, keep me on target. Something that I really wanted to touch on is that I feel like when we listen to people talk about gratitude, you watch clips or videos, or, it can seem a little bit whimsical, right? Just have gratitude and your life will be okay. It seems a little, doe-eyed. And I used to feel this way. So if you're one of these people who when you see that, it kind of makes you like, it can be turned like a turn off. It can be little like uncomfortable, like a little bit like, okay, it's a little too toxic, toxic positivity vibes, right? Like, and And I can really relate to that because I was like that for so long. Like I would say that the first kind of chunk of my life, I was a hardcore pessimist, but a funny one. You know what I'm saying? Like I lived by, cynicism and sort of criticism in a way. Like I was always kind of waiting for the shoe to drop type of person. Like, oh, this seems too good to be true. So, how can, when somebody says, you should be grateful for little things or grateful for this or that, it was hard for me to find gratitude in things because a lot of things were going wrong a lot. And so to me, it was real easy for me to stay in my shadow and stay in my pessimist brain because it just felt like there were a lot of days in my life where I was like, what is there to be grateful for? Like, yeah, I'm great. I'm thankful for certain things because I feel like sometimes thankful and grateful are two different things. Like thankful is like the outwardness, like thank you for this and thank you for that and thank you. But gratitude is so heartfelt and deep that I was definitely somebody that turned it away. Like I was like, it was hard for me to align with it and resonate with it in a way. It was because it really is a frequency. And I was the type of person that, outwardly I'd be like, yeah, I'm thankful for it. Am I grateful for it? And I would find things to I would find ways to be negative about things. Like, oh, everything is going wrong in my life right now. And you're going to look me in the face and tell me that I should be grateful for this person who hurt me, for this person, for my job that sucks, for the fact that I just, went into debt again. Like I would find that low frequency to continue to be in. And, so when I would try to read things or watch things that were, telling me to be grateful in the hardest of times, it was really hard to align with that. It was I couldn't roll my eyes hard enough in the back of my head, I was like, oh, be grateful for what? Yeah, okay, the sun is shining, I guess, and trying to find the littlest things to be grateful for when you're really struggling is really, really hard. And when you are there were certain pockets of my life that were very dark and were very challenging. And, there was a lot of loss. There was a lot of sadness. There was a lot of pain. There was a lot of all these things it was really, really, really hard to wake up in the morning and be grateful for the day because I was like, oh, grateful for what? Another friend that OD'd, another person that hurt me, another, it was this weird, this thing. And I also prided myself on being this humorous pessimist. I like the dark humor and finding humor in heaviness, and so I was a pessimist and I enjoyed it. I did. And so gratitude was something that I was outwardly doing, and I was always minding my manners and I was always thankful for things. And I would tip well and I would say thank you to people who did nice things for me. And I was always thankful for that. But I was also still one of the people who if we said, we're giving thanks for food, I would kind of roll my eyes. I'd be like, oh, we're thanking for our food. I just wasn't in tune with that. I was kind of just okay, can we just eat now? You know what I mean? And part of that is just being young because you don't really understand the reciprocation of what's happening. But also I was just not feeling it, So so to kind of grow into somebody who does this now, who before I eat, I say thank you for everything involved. It might not even be outward. It's not like I say grace at every table, but, or at every sitting, but in my mind's eye, I'm grateful for, the animal that we're eating or the farmers that picked, the crops and the truck drivers that got our food to us and into the stores and stuff. And there's this kind of these layers of how our food comes to us, right? And so that was something I had to really start tuning into and recognizing that I needed to start being grateful for everything that was in my life, like, and the way the world works and the way things are. And I just started becoming more and more and more like kind of open-minded to everything. And when I started, I would start gratitude practices kind of in increments throughout my life. I'd read something and be inspired by it, or I would hear something and be inspired by it. And it would take me down the road for like a little bit, and then I'd get right back into my pessimism, or I'd get right back into like just completely dissociating, or just not being just escapism. I had a lot of escapism back in my day too, escapism with a lot of substances, and so, when you're kind of coming in and out of those mindsets as well, it's, you can be really, really grateful, and then you can come down and you're not so grateful anymore. So it's definitely a practice. And I just want people to know that if you are one of those people that like kind of rolls your eyes at this stuff, like I was, I get it. Like, I totally get it. I totally get it. And, if you're listening to this and if you are saying like, I mean, it sounds like she has a lot to be grateful for right now. So of course she's going to talk about it, because when you have things to be grateful for, then yeah, you talk about them. But, to me, it's the reminder of it's challenging no matter what. It's challenging because we can get in our heads really easy and get down on ourselves, get down on our situations, get down on the people around us. Like you can get into these lows, and even in those lows, it doesn't matter how much you have, like you still have to be grateful for it's not even about what you have. It's just your moments, the fact that you wake up every day, and being grateful for your, of being inside your body and having the functions that you do, because we can really take that for granted. And I talk about this quite a bit on my social media and in my coaching and stuff, is like just having that real gratitude for our bodies. Because again, we get just disconnected from it in general, and, coming back to and being mindful of, it's not just being grateful about, just because you don't have money in the bank doesn't mean you can't find something to be grateful for. And once you do start finding the little things to be grateful for that aren't the things that society tells you that you should only be grateful if you have these things, then those things start to actually come to you. Like things you really do start breaking walls down and creating new patterns in your brain. And it's hard to understand that when you're in the flip side of yourself, when you're in the pessimistic side of yourself. It is actually really hard to see how that could be possible. And that's kind of what sucks about it, is when you're in that place, you can't see it. You're like, this is just annoying. There's another person telling me to be grateful for my shitty life. And it's like, it's hard, because that's when you don't see it. And you start to see it once you slowly come out of that and start to see things a little differently and get into more an optimistic, or not even, I wouldn't even say optimistic or positive mindset. It's more of just a solutions mindset. It's when you stop seeing everything as a problem and you start seeking or searching for solutions, those solutions begin to appear. Because if you are always thinking there's a problem in your life, there's going to always be a problem in your life. Because guess what? There's always problems in our lives. Like if you think things are a problem, for sure. There's bigger ones and there's smaller ones. But when the problems arise and you start to seek solutions, and you start to say, look, like I know there's a problem right now, but we need to focus on how to fix the problem, to get out of the problem instead of wallowing in the problem. That's when your mindset starts to shift. That's when the gratitude starts to sink in. That's when you can start to say, look, I know this is a crappy situation, but there's always a lesson here. There's always a mindset shift here. There's always a choice and a trajectory that's going to happen from this. And, I know so many people, myself included, who have had like incredibly crappy things happen to them. And some of the best things have come out of it. And so, this is something that I try to help people shift their outlook in when they're in like a really bad place or something negative happens to them. Like if they get fired from their job, or something happens with one of their friends, or it's like there's something good can come out of this. And again, it's really hard to see when you're in the thick of it. It's hard to see, but you have to be willing to be open-minded enough to at least open up just enough of the door to be able to not sit in the pessimism and the negativity of it, and at least have the door cracked up open enough to let something land, to let a little bit of light in, because that little bit of light can be an amazing change. So to reiterate, I just want people to know that I've been there. And, I'm hoping that if people listen to this episode, I don't want it to be just like, you have to have gratitude for everything and hippy dippy. It's like, no, like that's just not going to happen every moment and of every time. It's just the mindfulness of doing our best to find the gratitude in all things. And when you say all things, then the negative things apply. So we have to try to figure out how to find gratitude for not great things that are happening to us and not great people who are around us. And that starts by being grateful for all the little things that you have, because that's where the mindset starts to shift. Gratitude is something that, and I posted this the other day, and I wish I would have wrote the quote down. But it's like, did I put it in my phone? I don't know. It's something about like being outwardly grateful is one thing, but embodying gratitude, like really embodying gratitude, is where magic happens. It's where things really start to shift. Again, I talk about this in one of my, sorry, I have to get comfortable here. In one of my programs, I talk about having two voices. And I think these two voices really come into play when it comes to gratitude, because I talk about having an outward voice and an inward voice. And I feel like most of us have these two voices. And the outward voice is the one that speaks everything out loud, the one that even says the ideas, talks about what it wants, tells people what it wants, tells people where they're going. It's vocal. But the inward voice a lot of times doesn't match the outward voice. I can say, I want to be a millionaire 1,000 times. I can say it out loud and think that that's manifestation, right? Like quote manifestation. Like if you just say it enough, it'll appear somehow, which is like this massive facade. And the reason why it's a facade is because you have to have your backup voice have your back. You have to have that match. And so if you're saying, I want to be a millionaire, but your second voice, your passenger seat voice is doubting yourself, is saying, oh, you're never going to be a millionaire. You can say it 100 times, but like, or if you're just sitting in your room, just saying over and over again, I want to be a millionaire, but you're not actually going out and doing anything about it. You're not bringing money into your bank account. You're not putting it in a high yield savings. You're not investing in anything. You're not working extra hours. There has to be an action that goes along with that too. And I think a lot of people think that just saying things over and over again and thinking things over again is the only thing that you need to do, but there's action that needs to be involved. And that action is what gets your second voice, your inner voice, to really go along with where you're going. Because it's like, if you have this outward voice that's saying, I want to be, like for me, I want to have a podcast. I want to have a successful podcast. Like this is what I want to do. But there's my inner voice, my background voice is like doubting myself all the time, is I'm creating things, but I'm not posting them. This is a problem that I have actually with a lot of my content. I create a lot and then I don't post it. So it's like I'm doing something outwardly, but I'm also holding myself back because of my inner voice, or because of my passenger seat voice. That's what I call it, which to people, I'm like, you have a driver's seat voice. It's like, we're going here. But the passenger seat voice is hitting the brakes constantly and being scared. And there's like, don't turn here. Don't, why are you going here? And there's a disconnect. There's a disconnect between where you're going and, and how long it's going to take you to get there, basically. And I think this really comes into play with gratitude. We can say, I thank you. We can say, we're grateful for things. But if we have this inner voice that's questioning that, an inner voice that's like, what is there to be grateful for? Like, you just said thank you to this person and you really didn't mean it. You just said thank you for opening the door, them opening the door, but you had to run to get there and that just annoyed you. So why did you even say thank you? Like, you just said thank you to, your family at the family dinner, but you're like annoyed that you had to be there. So like, are you really grateful? Like, yeah, you just said thank you because it's the right thing to do, because it's the manners way to do things. And we're taught that at a young age, just say thank you, just say thank you. But it's like, do you really mean it? And so I think, again, this is where there's a disconnect. And so I think it's important to recognize when you're working on a gratitude practice, the whole point is to not just outwardly be thankful. That's part of it. That's the first step. The first step is to get into the habit of saying thank you to everything. Get into the habit of noticing what you should be grateful for. The big practice is truly embodying it, is truly being present, is truly when you leave your family dinner, you're so grateful for the effort they put into that. And even though you might have had some internal feelings about being annoyed and at the end of the day, you push those aside because you truly are grateful for those moments. And those moments matter. If that person held the door for you, you stop with the talking back here that's like annoyed because you had to, run faster or whatever it is. Like, I use that as an example because I feel like I've been there before where I'm like, don't hold the door for me because I don't want to run. Like, it's too far away. This person is being genuinely nice and is waiting for you. And that's so kind. And so you have to flip the script. You have to shut that voice down because you're not embodying the gratitude when you say thank you to them. You're like, thank you. But then that little voice inside is like, for making me run. Like, ugh, and I just think that, like, I know that's human nature. And again, it's not a perfect practice. Nothing is perfect, but it's something to think about. It's something to make sure that we're truly embodying and we're really showing up with that open heart and gratitude, because people can feel that, people can really, really feel that. And I think we forget that part, that people can really feel us and we can think we're present and that's the words we're saying out loud are what they are, but people can feel that you were annoyed or you were disconnected during the family gathering or people can feel it. And so people can say like, I know she said thank you, but I don't know, it just didn't seem very genuine. And people feel genuity. Like we have to remember that. And so I just think, again, it's just a concept that I like to have people start to think about. It's like when those two voices, your outward voice and your inner voice, like how many times a day do they really match? When you are speaking outward, or even when you're thinking, if you're choosing to work on manifestation, it's like, are your actions and your inner voice matching what you're writing and saying? Because at some point, if things aren't happening for you, these two things are out of alignment. Like if you're like, what is going on? Like I am doing all of the things that these coaches tell me, that these gurus tell me, that Gabby Bernstein's telling me, that, Jay Shetty's telling me. I'm writing, I'm reading, I'm speaking, I'm praying, I'm doing all of the things outwardly, but why is it not happening? And it's because something is going on in the background. Something's going on in the background. There's a disconnect, there's a misalignment. And so you have to go back to ask your inner voice, like, what am I saying to myself? What is holding me back? What is that passenger doing? Why is it hitting the brakes? I'm saying outwardly, I want to be a millionaire, but I'm not getting there. And it's like, well, are you truly doing all of the things? do you really want to be like a millionaire? And I guess a million isn't like that much money anymore. It is to me though. So I'm going to use millionaire. Millionaire is a lot of money. I want to be a millionaire, but then I question myself. I'm like, do I? Because I feel like if I really wanted to be a millionaire, there are so many things I could have done in my life. Like marry a millionaire? You know what I mean? Like, do I really want to? Or do I just want to be comfortable in my life and make sure that all my bills are paid every month and I don't have to worry about finances? And that's really what I started, sitting with myself and going, okay, that's, I guess, what I really wanted. $1 million would be amazing. I'm still going to play the lottery tonight. You know what I mean? But I also, it's like you have to really have those conversations with yourself and make sure that everything you're doing outwardly that you're trying to call in is actually aligning with your inner voice and how you're embodying things and how you're showing up, because the universe and the energy and the ether, the astrals, whatever you want to call it, it is listening to your actions and your inner voice. It's listening to the subconscious. So if you want your conscious to make the decisions, you have to align it with the subconscious. You have to. Like, you have to have them come together at some point and be on the same page. Because if you are out consciously doing things but subconsciously not so much, then the universe is going to it's going to get, that's a miscommunication. That's a confusion. That's a confusion of energies. It's like, okay, you're saying one thing but you're doing another. You're saying one thing but you're thinking internally another. And that's an action in itself, right? So it's like you have to really align with what you want. You have to put yourself in the places that are going to get you there. You have to really do the work, and you have to be grateful for the things you have right now. And I think that's something that's really challenging, and a lot of people don't want to hear. It's something I didn't want to hear for a long time. I'm like, I have to be grateful for what I have right now. Okay, I guess I'm grateful for this thing. You know what I mean? But then it's like when you truly start being grateful for the things that you have right now and the little tiny things that are around you, and, you know, the sun that comes up every day and my little plant, and, you know, it's like, I swear the more I tell my plants I'm grateful for them, the more they bloom. Like, it's like it's kind of crazy to watch. He knows. And, you know, honestly, like, I've had some really cool synchronicities since I started my 60-day gratitude practice as well. Like, I've been really taking it seriously, and it's kind of intense. You write out 10 things, you do all these different things. It's not just like a couple of things you're grateful for that day. It's like, it takes time and energy and effort, and you kind of like test these things out. And I've had some really cool synchronicities over the last couple of weeks where I'm like, wow, this is really working. Like, I'm in a really good headspace every day. I'm helping other people see things in a brighter way because I truly see them that way now. And so even though that's been sort of my work over the last probably 5 or 6 years, it's really glowing right now. And I see it. I see it in the way I'm writing. I see it in now that I wanted to do this podcast. The first thing I wanted to talk about was gratitude. The first thing I wanted to say was how grateful I am for not only like my setup, my place, the opportunity to be in, to be able to create like this, to be able to put out my thoughts, to be able to share with people, to be able to help people, guide people, and to have this opportunity and not feel stressed about it like I used to. I don't know why I was stressed about it, because it was just a side thing. And I don't know, like, I just feel really grateful for being here, and then also grateful for anybody who's watching and supporting. And I do really, truly want to help people see things differently. And that differently is in a brighter way, is so that they can see that they have things to be grateful for, because we do. You know, if you're breathing every day, if you're being able to, spend time with even just one person that you love and loves you back, like, that's huge. And so, and it does it, like, things just become brighter. And it's something that again, for the longest time, I didn't have. I really didn't. I didn't see things like that. And so, I think people like myself and then others who speak like this, who are like, look, like, you really got to try to see things differently. The reason why we want to help people see like this is because we didn't used to. Is because we know what it's like to be in the dark. Like, trust me, like, there's a lot of people out there who you think like they're only grateful because they have what they have right now. And it's like, no, we're grateful because we have what we didn't have before. And that's like that's a huge thing. You don't know people's stories from way before. You don't really know what they came from unless you truly follow and dig into their life. And then you go, oh, now I know why they do this. Now I know why they talk about this. Now I know why it matters to them. And that's why it matters to me, because I was a person who was, it's not that I wasn't grateful for my existence, but I was like, I didn't see it. I wasn't mindful about it. It's a huge mindfulness practice. I was not mindful about it. Like, I was not present with it, and there are some days where I have to check myself in my own presence. And when I'm having off days, I'm like, you need to be grateful for that, for ABC. You know, you got to check yourself. It's a form of checking yourself. And it's the first thing I wanted to talk about on my podcast. And it's actually popped up in other areas of my life. Like I've had people message me on different posts that I've created and they're like, no, like this is real, dude. Like I didn't used to be like this, but I am now. Like something shifted in me. And I'm like, yeah, like there's a lot of us that are like that. Like we were the crew that was like misery loves company. Like I can't tell you how many people I bonded with over complaining. Like over complaining about life, over a person, over my job, over drama, over, like there is such a thing as like it's not always extreme, but it's a trauma bond. Like we can bond over negativity. It's really easy. Negative and negative can like it magnetizes. And it's like, it really can like the second that you're like, oh, they don't like that person either. Oh, that's something to talk about. It's a lot easier to talk about reasons why you don't like somebody than reasons why you do. And now I feel like we're in an era where people aren't doing that anymore. And again, I'm grateful for that. Like when I see that in people, I'm like, let's talk about why we love someone. Let's talk about all their strengths instead of like, why are we complaining? And I love that, like, that's the mindset I'm in. And that's more of the era we're getting into because, building people up and being a support system for other people and seeing people's strengths is so massive. And, when we kind of connect over, not liking the same person or not liking the same job. Like how many people bond over just their miserable job and all they do is complain on their breaks and complain on, at the water cooler or at happy hour, you're just complaining about your job. And it's like, this bonds people together. And it's really hard to have gratitude when you're complaining, they're complaining, we're complaining, and it's like, and you can fake it at the end and be like, oh, we need to be grateful for the money that we make. I guess it all makes sense when we cash our checks and, get to the restaurants and stuff. And now this is why we do our jobs. And it's like, but are you grateful for if you just complain for 3 hours and then you kind of try to counteract it with, but this is how we make our money, so it's all okay. And it's like, again, there's a mismatch there. There's a mismatch into, into the universe. And so then when we wonder why we're not getting something better, and it's like, well, because, are we truly grateful for what we have? And so, there's something to be said about that, about the misery loves company thing. And I think that we don't even, we're mindless to it. We don't realize what we're doing. We don't realize that we're calling in more complaining and it pushes gratitude away. And then other, things to be grateful for aren't going to come to us because why would they? Why would they, if you're just going to complain about it, why would they come in just to be, complained about? This is an energy thing. And it's like, why would an energy come in just to be complained about? If you think about that in kind of a weird way. Anyway, let's see. The last thing I wanted to talk about, this is why I put bullet points on here, because I tend to ramble, if you haven't noticed. The last thing I want to talk about here is forgiveness versus gratitude. And I think this is a really big one because part of the intensive gratitude practice is being grateful for people who have not treated you well. And this is very loaded and this can be very triggering, and it's not for everybody at every time. I think this is a timing thing. I think this is where you are in your healing process. But I do think it is important to recognize that there's a forgiveness practice and then there's a gratitude practice. And I think that I have had challenges in my life to look back at people who have hurt me, like deeply hurt me, and tried to find gratitude for them. Like, I'm not really grateful for this person. They can make my life miserable. Like, I'm not great. But when you actually sit down and you look at what, like, different reasons why you can be grateful for them, or just different positive aspects of that person, where you sit down and you go, you know what? I cannot, this person has done me wrong. They harmed me. They did all these things, But I need to go back and write down the positive aspects and then why I'm grateful for why they were in my life, because there's a good chance that it's been my experience that the people who were in my life that just did some serious damage to me emotionally and mentally and financially, all of these things. Again, being grateful in the moment, probably not going to work. But later on, I'm like, you know what? I'm actually really grateful for this person because this person taught me how to speak up for myself. This person taught me how to, show up in the world a little bit differently. This person taught me how to not betray my intuition, because every time I was around them, I betrayed it. This person taught me, and it's like the things that they teach you are typically a little bit deep rooted. They're not like an outward easy thing. Like there's something you have to sit with and be like, what lesson did I get out of this person? And you're grateful for that lesson. Like if I didn't go through A, B, and C, I wouldn't be here. If this person hadn't hurt me, I wouldn't have never met this person. Maybe it's a counselor or a friend. It would have never led me in this direction. It would have never led me into this place or journey of, healing. And finding gratitude in that person doesn't always mean you have to forgive them at that time. Forgiveness is different, and that can take a lot of time. And it takes some work sometimes. And forgiveness is, again, for yourself. It's, it's not excusing behavior. That's something different. But I think you can be grateful for somebody before you forgive them for what they've done. Because a lot of times, like, you got to sit back and be like, I'm not ready to forgive. I'm not ready yet. And again, that's holding on to a lot of things. That practice is a little bit different. But I do think that you can be grateful for the person in your life at the time and how they played a role in where you are now. Because if you're better off later on in life, then there is a reason to be grateful for somebody who caused you, pain. And so if you can look back and go, you know what, if I hadn't been with that person, I would have never ended up here. I would have never ended up here. I would have never ended up here. And so, yeah, there is gratitude there. Does it mean that you have to forgive them in that moment? No. Like, I think, again, kind of a different practice. And I think people can get those two mixed up. Like, I feel like people, when you say like, you can be grateful for this person, I think that immediately clicks that they need to forgive somebody. And if you're not ready to do that, that's okay. That's totally okay. And I think that comes later, or maybe it comes first and you need to sort of wash that off of you or release those emotions and release that burden, because forgiveness is typically releases the burden off of you. It doesn't condone anybody's behavior. It's just releasing the heaviness off of yourself. So again, I think these two practices can be misconstrued for each other, but I think they can be done separately. So, and I think, it's coming in tune with things and becoming aware of like, wait, I guess you're right. Like if I hadn't met this person, they hadn't hurt me, kind of looking at those timelines, and then you go, okay, I guess I can be grateful for that person. And in that gratitude, you can let some things go and you can recognize how our adversity really shapes our lives and the things that we go through. And even if we go through tremendously horrible things, sometimes it can be this, major shift in growth, and then also enables us to help others grow and heal as well. I think a lot of people, unfortunately, are meant to go through really hard things so that they can be a helper to those people who are going through hard things. Like, I think it's hard to have one without the other. If somebody's trying to help you who's never been through what you've been through, it's a little bit hard to retain, right? You're kind of like, you've never been through any of this, or you don't really have any empathy for this because our lives are very different. But when somebody's been through it, then you go, wow, I can go through it and overcome it and become a better person too. So it's an interesting thing to think about when we're like, wow, I guess we do have to go through hard times so that we can help other people who are going through hard times. That's another maybe conversation for another podcast, because that's kind of a loaded topic. But I just wanted to touch on the gratitude versus forgiveness, because I do, I think that, again, they can be a little misconstrued. So I think that's all for today. It's what I wanted to start off with. I covered all my bullet points. I just want to say thank you to you guys again for being here. I truly do have gratitude. Like it's kind of exploding at this point, and I very much feel like I'm embodying it in such a different way. And I just wanted to share with everybody my thoughts and feelings on it. I hope you enjoyed the podcast. If you have any feedback, please let me know. If you have any topics that you want me to talk about, please let me know. If you want to be somebody who wants to be on the podcast and you want to just chit chat, please let me know. And we can just talk into the ether about whatever you want to talk about. Like, I'm super down. I want to be able to, even if you're just a friend who I haven't talked to in a long time and you want to be on the podcast, and we can just talk about whatever. Like, I'm super down. So just reach out to me and let me know. And let's see other topics that I have coming up, so you guys know. That's something I probably should start doing. Let's see. Oh, something I am going to do. This will be the next podcast I put out. I'm doing another segment called, it's going to be podcast episodes on collective emotional healing. It's something that I kind of started on social media, but then I realized I wanted it on the podcast. So I'm going to be tapping into the collective and choosing different emotions that come through and talking about that emotion and how we can possibly work on those emotions and release those emotions. So that's going to be just a segment of my podcast. It'll probably be once a week, I'm hoping I can do. So that is something to look out for if you're interested in that at all. Let me see. Collective emotions. I want to talk about my mom's crazy story about her health scare because I think it's really important. I want to talk about the podcast, The Telepathy Tapes. I'm obsessed with them and I want to talk about them. I want to talk about betraying intuition and tapping into your intuition. I want to talk about light and dark in human behavior within ourselves. What else do I have on here? I want to talk about people being replaced by robots. That's going to be a little bit different. But anyway, so again, if there's a topic that you want to hear about or you want to talk about, let me know. And now that I know how to use the system, I can have people on and it's going to be so fun. So just reach out and let me know. So anyway, thank you so much for being here, you guys. And I'm going to send you out to the intro. And I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. I'm so, so, so grateful for you guys. And I will see you next time. Take care. Choosing to work on mindfulness in everyday life is a big step to a more positive mindset, to relieving unnecessary stress, and to living a more mindful life. If you enjoyed this podcast, please remember to follow and rate the show. There are also links in the description to check out my website, where you can subscribe to my email list or get info on my ongoing coaching programs and what else I have to offer. You can also follow my wellness and mindset coaching Instagram and Facebook for daily motivation, updates, and free offers. Social media is a great place to connect, and I do love connecting to those that reach out for guidance. If you want to chat more about this topic, please feel free to reach out on any of my platforms. I would love to have an open discussion about how this resonates with you. As podcasting is not a money-making part of my life and something I do on the side without ads attached, gratuity is always welcome. If and only if you feel called to do so, because something lit you up, gave you an idea or new perspective, or you simply feel grateful in the moment and want to support a startup. There is a tip jar link below. I am always so, so, so grateful for the support. Thank you so much for listening and have a wonderful, mindful day. Until next time.